Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to Season 3 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, recorded at the Surf City Studios in Costa Mesa, California. I have another great season of interviews with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks and hacks, and ideas you can use to take your career business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. I'm excited to speak with Teresa Baker from the African American Nature and Parks Experience today. Teresa works tirelessly to encourage communities of color across the country to get out into our national, state, regional, and local parks. We talk about some of the great work she does and much, much more. Enjoy. Welcome to the show, Teresa. Great to talk with you today. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. So we were just talking beforehand. You're headed to Big Sur in a few days. That sounds pretty exciting.
Big Sur is always amazing, and I'm definitely looking forward to beating the Bay Area heat and getting out to the coast.
That's right. Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. I love it up there. I've been there on a bunch of photo trip expeditions. Beautiful spot.
Cool.
Yeah, good. So let's start out with how you got excited about the outdoors. How did you get into the outdoors? Was it a family thing, or how'd that come about?
Just growing up in Richmond, California, I'm the only girl in a family of 8 brothers.
Wow.
So, yeah. Yes. So being outdoors just came natural for us,
right.
Because back then our parents said, go outdoors and don't come in until the streetlights come on.
I was the same way.
So we just grew up in the outdoors playing sports and hiking and camping. It was just natural for us, and I refused to be outdone by any of my brothers. So it was competition for me.
That's fun. Older and younger, or were you the oldest?
I have 6 older and 2 younger.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're kind of right in the middle. Man, that must have been a pretty competitive pack and a bunch of fun, I'm sure.
It was, and my dad encouraged it, and my mom tried to, keep me away from it. So it was a struggle of sorts.
Really? Huh? What was your mom? Was she just worried you were going to get hurt, or what was her thing?
Yeah, she was. You shouldn't be out there. You could get hurt, and my dad was like, behind her back, of course. No, you get out there and you be as competitive as you like.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And did you have so what kind of things did you guys do? You just, play stickball and baseball and football and soccer and hike around? Where you had the Bay Area's got great hiking. I mean, all over around, just in your backyard.
There are so many amazing hiking trails in the East Bay, in the North Bay.
Yeah.
I grew up around state parks, regional parks, national parks. So there was always an outdoor space for us to gather in. So, it was a matter of basketball one day in the morning, hiking the local hills in the afternoon, swimming in the evening. So it was a wide variety of opportunities.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I used to live in Alameda. There's a lot of outdoor stuff to do around the Bay. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So did you have a first outdoor job, a traditional outdoor job, or how did you get into the outdoor industry, so to speak?
In high school, I was an after-school counselor at the local girls' club.
Oh, okay.
And that being a counselor there introduced me to Yosemite. That was my first time visiting Yosemite, was as an after-school counselor for the girls' club.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Yosemite just hooks you, doesn't it?
Oh my God, I am addicted. I tell people I'm there literally twice a month.
Wow. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you can never get enough of a space like Yosemite.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I've been there a number of times too, taking pictures. There's so much beauty and so many different places to go. You
Oh
know, it's
God.
easy to get off the beaten path there and see some fabulous terrain too.
It's easy to lose track of time.
Yeah. And how long did you do the the counselor job?
I did it for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, I continued my love of basketball. So I just continued to play basketball. I was determined to be the first woman in the NBA,
Okay. Uh-huh.
Not the WNBA, but the NBA.
Nice. That's a good
So
goal. Lofty
it, it,
goal.
it, it was until injuries took over, and then I
No.
was like, that's
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a bummer for a lot of us.
Yeah.
So, did your outdoor counselor? Did you also do camping trips, or was it just like a day camp kind concept?
We did. In the summer, we camped out at a lot of the Bay Area spaces at Tilden,
Mm-hmm.
over in Marin Headlands. So we had a lot of camping excursions, um, but the majority of our time was spent, doing, summer activities,
Right. Gotcha.
just gathering girls and learning about the outdoors and just doing things that came natural to high school girls.
Right. Right. That must have been pretty fun keeping track of those
it, it,
schedules.
it was fun, but I was one of them as well. So
Yeah.
I was in high school and I was learning right along, you know
Yeah.
next to them and participating in all the activities that were um in place for them. So it was a fun experience.
Right. Very cool. And so now you're involved with the African American Nature and Parks Experience. Tell listeners a little bit about that.
Well, in 2013, after spending a week in Yosemite by myself, I just started looking around and noticing the absence of people that looked like me. And once I returned home, I reached out to a ranger in Yosemite and asked about, why is it that I'm not seeing people that look like me?
Mm-hmm.
And he explained that that's a problem for the National Park Service as a whole.
Right.
And he said to me, if you see a problem, you're part of the solution. So
Mm-hmm.
help us fix this.
Oh, good.
And that's what I, ventured out to do, was find a way to help the Park Service bring more faces of color to our national park spaces. And that is what prompted me to create African American National Parks event, which is an event that takes place every year
Oh, cool.
in June. And that's what African American Nature and Parks Experience is about. Creating outdoor experiences for communities of color. And I do that through events and speaking engagements.
Cool. So, does that event take place at a different national park every summer, or you go to the same one?
What I do, which is pretty much like I do with the Hike Like a Girl campaign, the first weekend in June, I just put out a call to people across the country saying, pick a national park that's near you and just get out with family and friends and post about it on social media so that people
Mm.
can start to see our faces in these spaces.
Oh, cool. That's great. And how many years has that been going on?
Since 2013,
13.
that was the
Okay.
first year.
Uh-huh.
And it's grown, like the first year we had probably around 500 people participate
Mm-hmm.
across the country. And, just this past June, this month, I'm sorry, there were over 5,000. So
Wow.
it's growing every year. People reach out to me every year asking how can they participate. Various grassroots organizations across the country reach out and make me aware of an outing that they are putting together So it's out there and it's growing, and I'm happy to see that.
That's awesome. So yeah, I read you're on a mission to make sure more people of color are visiting our national parks. That's awesome. Are you also doing other, public lands areas like BLM lands and, not necessarily just national parks? You must do things elsewhere as well, right?
Right now, my focus is on public lands, period.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When I initially started, my focus was national parks. But now it's all of our outdoor spaces, be it state, regional, BLM, forest land, whatever. It's important for us to, especially communities of color,
Yeah.
to reestablish connections with the land, so that when there are attacks on the land like there are now, there are more faces here to fight for these spaces. And
Yeah.
that's important. And a lot of people overlook that part of what I do, which is fighting for this environment. That's the ultimate goal of why I want to see more faces of color in these outdoor spaces.
Yeah, no, that's great. We need all kinds of people out there, and it's interesting that it kind of got away from that because years and years ago, everybody used to go. I mean, I've seen pictures of Yosemite, just flooded with all kinds of people, and
Mm-hmm.
somewhere along the line that shifted. But I'm glad to see that you're working on that. That's terrific.
Absolutely, and I don't do it alone. So
Yeah, how big's your team? You have quite. I mean, obviously you've got a lot of volunteers and people reaching out all around the country, I'm sure. But do you have a team that you work with there directly?
actually, I am the only person that's with African
You're a
American.
one-man band, one-woman band. All right, I like it.
Yeah, but I work with various grassroots organizations, be it Native Outdoors, Latino Outdoors, Outdoor Afro, Greening Youth Foundation, all of these organizations that are across the country. We collaborate on this work,
Mm-hmm.
so that the responsibility doesn't fall on just one person.
Right, that's good. Right, and I'm sure you work with a bunch of brands and outdoor groups, and I know people can get involved through that. I've seen some of that work, but how does the average outdoor enthusiast get involved? Someone who may not, work for Mountain Hardware or be connected to the outdoor industry. How do they find out about you and get involved?
You social media has been my platform.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I blast stuff out over social media. I do work with various brands, be it Marmot, Patagonia, in helping put together some of my events,
Mm-hmm.
which I encourage people across the country to participate in. And the events that are here in the Bay Area, people across the country come for, like
Right.
the Women's Outdoor Summit for Empowerment. There were women across the country that came to participate in that.
Okay.
And it was an amazing experience. But you do not have to be connected to a group or an organization to get outdoors. These
Right.
spaces are here for us all to enjoy. And I just want to, continue to find ways to get the message out that these spaces belong to us,
Mm-hmm.
each and every one of us, and we have a responsibility to protect them. So it shouldn't take a call
Right.
for people to get out and enjoy these amazing outdoor spaces.
Right. And do you do any work on? I think one of the challenges we have in the outdoor industry right now is educating people on what public lands are. I think a lot of times, I just moved down to Costa Mesa from Bishop, California, and we've got public lands all over up there. It's an awesome place to live. But I think a lot of folks that, drive north from LA and they're bopping up to Mammoth, I don't think they realize that they're looking at public lands or what public lands are. Do you do any work to educate folks and help them understand that, look, BLM lands, national park lands, these are all public lands that we need to help support like never before these days?
Right. That's the message we all try and get out.
Mm-hmm.
That these spaces belong to all of us. As Ranger Shelton Johnson often says, that this is our inheritance,
Yeah.
and we need to take advantage of them. And part of taking advantage of them is learning how to protect them,
Mm-hmm.
and learning about the threats that are currently underway to remove them from the public eye and privatize them.
Right. Develop them. It's scary.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the day that I venture off to Yellowstone or Yosemite and see, the golden arches of McDonald
Right.
there. So we have to take an interest in these spaces, or they'll take them away and say we didn't care.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So who are some of the people that have inspired you to do what you do along the way?
A lot of people, Audrey and Frank Peterman, Dr. Carolyn Finney, John Muir.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of work with his great-great-grandson.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of people, individuals who you would never recognize their name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People that get out and through hike and do amazing things, like Outdoor Afro just completed a hike in Africa, and they're all from here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the U.S., and they just went over and did a hiking expedition in Africa. The majority of people will never know about that expedition.
Right. Right.
The people who made up Expedition Denali.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
There are a lot of people that are doing amazing things, and they are people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the problem, that people assume we're not in these spaces because you never hear about us. But we are, and that's part of the work we do, is helping get this message out that we are here.
Yeah, we're out there doing it, yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot of the organizations, a lot of the brands, Sierra Club, Patagonia, North Face, they need to start showing us. We need visibility because we're in these spaces, but we need to be seen.
Yeah.
And that's why I work with all these organizations and brands to make sure they understand the importance of that, and to make sure that their marketing campaigns include us.
Right, yeah, at catalogs and whatnot. Yeah, get people of color in all those images and stuff. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could all do a lot more on so many things, but yeah, that's true.
But we need to be doing it collectively, so that
right.
we don't feel alone in doing it.
Right. And what gets you out of bed every day?
This work, these spaces that need protecting. I look forward to every day finding a cause to work on.
That's great.
And right now, there are a lot of causes for us to work on. But for me, my fight has to be the environment, because without the protection of it, we have nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and you must be pretty busy every day.
And this is what I do on the side. I actually have a 9 to 5.
Do you? Well, that's great. What's your 9 to 5?
I work in real estate development.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you must travel a lot too then. Do you getting around to these national parks, and you must be on the road quite a bit.
I try to get out as often as possible. I would love to do this work full time, and until the right opportunity presents itself, I do this work on the side when time allows.
Yeah, we all got to pay the bills somehow, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what outdoor activities do you participate in? It sounds like you hike a lot.
I love hiking and outdoor photography.
Okay, cool.
That's just my passion, because, images are everything.
Yeah.
And if I can show a Yosemite to someone who's never been, and the first time they see it through photography, they're in awe.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that helps bring them on board with understanding the role they play in protecting these spaces.
Right. What kind of camera do you shoot?
Oh, Canon.
Okay, got you. I'm a Nikon guy. Sorry.
oh my goodness.
They both make great products.
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely.
Yep. And do you have any suggestions or advice for folks either wanting to get in the outdoor biz, or if they're already in, maybe grow their career?
What I tell people is that be creative. There are so many opportunities out here, but very few people create these opportunities for themselves. We're so accustomed to just accepting what's there and trying to fit into that space. I would love for a brand or an organization to create a position around the work that I do,
That's
and
interesting. Yeah.
that's not already there.
Mm-hmm.
That would encompass the love of the outdoors, social justice, environmental protection. These are positions that can be created because
Mm-hmm.
there are
Mm-hmm.
some amazing brands and organizations out there with the ability to do it.
Yeah,
We
that's an
just need
interesting concept. Yeah, I like that.
yeah, we
Yeah.
just need to step out beyond what's always been
Mm-hmm.
to create something new. That's what I'm hoping, starts to take place. People start creating these little niches for themselves.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. I think you're right. I think a lot of brands could do that, and a lot of I don't know if it existed in the public agencies, but they could do the same. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you spoken to any brands? Yeah, I'm sure you're talking to people about that all the time. Any interest out there?
Of course, there's
Oh,
interest,
good. Hmm.
but people are just so grounded in what they've always done.
Yeah, we always go back to that, don't we? We always do what we've always done, and it's really hard to get out of that box. Yeah, yeah,
Because that's what's comfortable. And I totally get that.
right.
But we need to start expanding the possibilities.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, I talk to brands all the time, specifically Marmot and Patagonia,
Hmm.
all the time about this.
Yeah.
I was in Yosemite back in November with Patagonia, and this is what we talked about for
Oh,
3 days.
oh, great.
You know,
Yeah.
how can brands step it up in
Right.
regards to diversity and inclusion? So Patagonia gets it, and they're working at it.
Hmm.
REI has gotten it, and they are doing the work.
Yeah, it's
So
the tide is starting to change. I think you start to see a lot more folks, headed down
yeah,
that path. But like everything,
absolutely.
we could even in public lands, the public lands battle, we could all do a lot more. But I think,
We can
yeah, I
all
think
do
it's
more.
changing. Do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity? You meditate, exercise. You must get a lot of exercise, hiking.
I hike. I try to hike every day. I try to be outdoors
Uh huh.
every day. I try to get away from the city and just find a grove of trees
Nice.
and just hang out because there's serenity there, and it's a constant reminder when I'm there what I'm fighting for.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, and how about some favorite books? Do you give books as gifts very often, or what are some of your favorite books?
I do at times. Right now I'm reading Terry Tempest Williams, The Hour of Land.
No, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a celebration of our national parks. It talks about the important role national parks play in our lives, and the important role people play
Yeah.
in the lives of national parks. So
She's a great
that's a
writer.
good reading. Absolutely, she is. And also Dr. Carolyn Finney, Black Faces in White Spaces,
Okay.
talking about the relationship of African Americans in the great outdoors. So um, those are two books that are high on my list, and but there are a lot of books that speak about the connection between people and land,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, we'll link to all the stuff in the show notes for sure, but we'll put the books in there as
cool,
well. That's great.
cool.
What's your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Oh my gosh, I whew, gear is so expensive these days.
Yes, it is.
It's like, oh my God, I have been trying to find a Yeti cooler for the past 2 months that's reasonably priced, and I've lost that battle. So I think I'm about to give in and just go ahead and purchase a Yeti. And of course, that's not under $100,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. They make great stuff, though. Yeah.
oh, amazing. But there's a bag by Patagonia. It's the Atom 8L sling bag.
Oh yeah, I know that bag. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's small enough so you can carry it with you wherever you go.
Hmm.
But it's big enough to carry, the simple things that you need on, day to day when you're not out on a trail or something. So
Yeah.
I'm loving that bag right now.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we'll link to that in the show notes too. And we'll link the Yeti coolers too, just because.
Oh my God. Yes. If there's any Yeti people out there, woo woo.
Yeah. They'll reach out to you possibly. That'd be great. As we go to wrap up here, is there anything else you'd like to ask or say of our listeners?
Oh, I just want people to try and understand where I'm coming from, because there's always the argument that the work I do is divisive, and it really isn't. I am trying to bring more people into the outdoors.
Yeah. I wouldn't see that as divisive as all. That's interesting.
Oh my gosh. Articles come out, and of course there are people that support the work I do.
Yeah.
But then there's always the people that talk about, these spaces are welcome and open to everyone. Why do you feel you need a special welcoming mat laid out for you? And that's so totally not what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Because ultimately the work we do around diversity and inclusion, it's a conversation about race.
Mm-hmm.
And people aren't always comfortable having that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And what we try to do is make people understand our goal. And our goal is not to divide, it's to bring us together.
Yeah, to include. That's great. Yeah.
In these amazing spaces. So I just want people to understand that I'm not trying to cause issues. I'm trying to clear some of these issues up.
Right.
And get more people in these outdoor spaces.
Yeah.
So, I invite any and everyone to reach out to me.
Yeah, how can people find you? Is email the best way, or Twitter, LinkedIn?
Yeah. Email, and I'm on Instagram at Teresa Baker 11. I'm on Twitter at Love on Nature. And of course, they can reach me through African American Nature and Parks Experience.
Great. Well, we'll put links to all that in the show notes, and we'll be sure and tag those in the social post when this episode goes live. Yeah. No, I think it's a great message, and I think it sounds very inclusionary to me, what you're working on. It's interesting that people would see that as divisive, but people interpret things different ways, right? It's interesting.
Absolutely, they do. But their opinions are welcome, because I grow through understanding why people feel that what I do isn't necessary. But what they fail to understand is their argument in itself is why the work I do is necessary.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why you do what you do, because you just asked that question, ma'am, sir, whoever. So
absolutely.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, Teresa, it's been great catching up with you. I look forward to meeting you at a show one day. Will you be at OR?
We're trying to work that out now. Okay. We have the diversity pledge coming out, where we're asking CEOs to sign on to. So there's talk of me. Yeah, there's talk of me showing up at OR, and hopefully we can work that out to make it happen.
Good. Well, hopefully I'll catch you at OR. If not, I'm in the Bay Area quite a bit, so we'll look you up and we'll grab a coffee or something.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good day.
You as well.
Bye-bye. All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Teresa Baker. You can catch up with Teresa and learn more about what she's up to by email at tmbaker1165@gmail.com. You'll find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 119. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. Today's podcast is brought to you by InMotion Hosting. I've used InMotion Hosting to host my websites for years. Rick Say's Photos blog, Stillwater's Consulting, and the Outdoor Biz podcast are all hosted with InMotion Hosting. If your New Year's resolution is to publish a blog, produce a podcast, or simply secure a domain name, go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion and sign up with them today. They make it simple and quick to get a new site up and running with easy installation tools. That's theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion. Get going today. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Be sure to go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find all the links to the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. And be sure to make time to get outside and take someone with you.